Hello, hello, and welcome to a brand new calendar year of Call Your Coven. My name is Bee, my pronouns are she, her, and I'm your resident numerologist.
My name is Jeanna, my pronouns are also she, her, and I am your resident astrologer.
And my name is Meg, my pronouns are she, they, and I'm the resident tarot reader.
And it is 2026.
Fake.
That's what they say.
Are talking 2026. Okay, I'm putting you both on the spot. One word to describe the vibes of the year. Go.
Different.
Meg doesn't know a word.
I can't think of a single word, actually.
I think that's it. If that wants to be the
Long
word.
pause. Vacant stare is my 2026.
I just see redacted.
Redacted.
Redacted is my word for 20. Honestly, I'm actually fucking here for that. No, the thing is, like, I haven't pulled any cards for myself for 2026. And I'm going to be so real with you. I haven't sold a single year ahead reading. So I haven't pulled cards for anyone else's 2026 either. So, like, I have like cards that I pulled for this month, but I haven't really thought long term about 2026 as a whole at all beyond like, starting to put together some like goals and ideas for myself. So tarot's a little different in that way. Like I don't have a card of the year. I have my like number archetype of the year. I'm going into a 7 year. So I have like Chariot as my situation, but yeah, I don't really have a word that encapsulates the new stuff because I haven't really done that yet, which is kind of weird to say, but tarot's a little different in that way, you know?
Yeah. And in that way it is different. Like I've talked with Meg a lot about this, but because I do a lot of year ahead readings every year, I am talking about the astrology in the final months of 2025. I'm like, I feel like I'm integrating it into my body in a really interesting way. And I don't know that next year is easier or better, but it's different than 2025 for sure. B, do you have a word that comes to mind?
I know. I should have thought of one myself. I was like,
there in the middle distance for a second. I found that really helpful.
And go. Yeah, maybe I'll take redacted.
Redacted is solid. Change is coming to mind too, with like the wheel as our card of the year, but
yeah, that's more what I was thinking is like, I've been thinking a lot about 10 and the word that I will use, and this is not a negative connotation at all. So I hope the neutrality shines through. The word is aftermath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see that.
Here for that.
Yeah. Well, I prepped some stuff for 10 and 1. Good. I felt like we needed to talk about it. But first, New Year, anything you want, either of you want to announce for the new year?
It is not new. I've been announcing it, but as of Jan 1, it is officially available for immediate download. My new guidebook, Set Yourself Up, Your 60 Best Days for Creative Success in 2026. I think that's the subtitle. It's something along those lines. That's what it is. But that is officially out now. There are 5 days a month for 12 months that you can use that will just meet you wherever you are in your creative practice. There's one date to start something, one date to revise something, one date for a high productivity output, one day for like artist date input, because that's also an essential part of the creative process. And then one day for like launch, promotion, pitching, the one to the many, sharing the work publicly kind of thing. I'm just really excited about it, honestly. Like I'm trying to transition away from one-on-one readings in 2026 by way of offering just like more guidebooks, more classes that are very much like take what you need, leave the rest, I don't know. I just feel really passionately about offering astro weather that can meet you wherever you are in your creative process. And also astro weather that like you don't need to really know a lot about astrology to use. This guidebook is not technical. It's like every day has do's and don'ts and keywords and images and prompts that require no astrology knowledge whatsoever to utilize. So yeah, I just hope it can serve people well in the coming year.
I think it will. It's really smart. I've gotten to see it, and it looks awesome, and I can't wait to use it myself. So
thank you.
I am running a January journaling series. I've done this for the last couple of years. This year it's called Wheeling into the Year. It's always built around our archetype of the year, helping you calculate your own archetype for the year and also invite in other cards and archetypes that you might want to work with, exploring different themes. And it's a really gentle way to kind of intentionally move into the new year without trying to cram in as many resolutions as possible. So it starts on January 3rd, depending on when you're hearing this. That might not be something you can still snag, but if you can, join us. And if not, it'll be added to the conservatory, which is my membership program, in a few months. I'm also planning to launch a 10-week large format type container for grief called River Styx that I've been working on for a long time. My hope is to be launching that around the end of January or early February. So I have a wait list if that's something you want to look at as well, but hoping to launch that this month. So yeah, that's what I got.
Yay. I have finally decided on something. Mm-hmm. On January 3rd, it's Saturday, I'm going to be hosting a live workshop at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, called Throwing Clay on the Wheel Year, Molding 2026 with Numerology. So I got a lot of requests for a beginning of the year. How do I figure out my numbers? How do I work with them? So I am going to talk about the year at large in like a mini lecture, but it's mostly going to be about how to calculate yearly numbers, monthly numbers, even daily numbers if you want to work with them, and then tuning into the rhythm that they're providing you for your year, because depending on your monthly cycles, you also see full cycles. You might not be starting in one energy. So really about personalizing and kind of strategizing how to work with the numbers that are showing up for you in 2026. And of course, the workshop will be recorded if you can't make it live, and then will be made available for purchase afterwards. And I'm really excited I went back and forth about whether or not to do a live component, because I know a lot of people like asynchronous, but I'm feeling good and I'm like excited to be in a Zoom room with people again. So yes, by the time this comes out, there will be a way to sign up for this. It'll be in the show notes and on my website and all of that stuff.
That sounds awesome.
On the full moon. So cute.
Yes, I know. I just wanted it to be that weekend, and the numerology actually works out because 1-3 is a 4-day, and that felt really good for like getting clear on the structure of the year and kind of doing some planning. And then overall, when you add 10 to that 4, it's a 14-5 day, and 5 is fun and also a little bit of freedom from structure. So I felt like that could be a good numerological way to start the year.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we have to talk about 10 and 1 because they are the collective energies of the year, and they're working on us all year. And also January is ruled by 1, even though we'll get into this later, it's a 2-month, but 1 is very much a number that we'll start with. And then this is also kind of the flavor of what will be in the workshop. So if you're interested, definitely sign up. But I think with 1 energy all year, it's going to be really propelling each month's numerological energy forward. So we will start with 10 because it's a fun number. It's our friend with the little backpack. It's Pythagoras's most cherished and revered number. And I did some research on this, and I'm going to write about it as we get into the 1 year. But the reason that it's revered is because it's said to house all the other numbers. So if we think of that paradox of like 1 being singular, but also the all, I really see this here. So it's 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. So if you're a nerd like Pythagoras, then you might like that is the thing. But I think thematically 10 is also a number of rolling the dice, of spinning the wheel. Like it has Jupiterian energy attached to it. It's also the number of completion and aftermath. That was my word for the year. And what it does take to actually move on, to start over, to begin again, to keep living, whatever language really feels right. And so this is from my week 10 forecast. I actually just finished. I released week 52 of 2025 right before we were recording this. And I did 52 in a row, like in 2025, did not miss a single week. So this is way back from March of 2025, but I like it. And I think it'll prove kind of practically useful for us this year. Act like you've been here before. That's my advice for the year. Even if it is your first rodeo, do not let them know. When you embody someone who's already taken a spin around the block and you've picked up a few pointers, you carry yourself differently. So really the advice for January, but for the full year, is fake it until you make it. That feels very like wheel magician. Let's do things differently. So, and then of course, figure out what your yearly cycle number is, see where you are in your spiral. Because 1 is the spark and the start. So 1 is practical, as in it has what it takes to begin something. But 1 is also very fiery, and it can easily fizzle out as it can catch flame. So I want us to remember that as we enter the year. And this actually is not a call for slow and steady. I feel like I've definitely been like, we need to move slowly. But I don't feel that way about January. I think like if you want to go, please go. But this is just a call for channeling excitement and enthusiasm into intentional movement that can actually get you somewhere, that won't just kind of fizzle out. And before I talk about January, I do want to have a little pop culture moment, because the hockey brain rot has me in
Yes. In all of our chokeholds.
In a chokehold.
Yeah.
In a chokehold over here.
No, and I just like, I wouldn't be me if I didn't talk about it. So, but I really can't help but see a metaphor here. So I hope like anybody who has tuned me out already will stick with me. Okay. So the book Heated Rivalry, which is obviously what we're talking about, if you didn't get that from Hockey Brain Rot. The book Heated Rivalry came out in 2019, which was the 3rd year of the cycle that we just wrapped up. And I asked Jeanna earlier if she had a Publishers Marketplace account, because I really wanted to find like when the memo, like the deal memo was posted.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling it was like earlier, like towards the 1 year. And I was just curious. But anyway, if anybody knows, let me know. But in the 3rd year of a cycle, we start to see some kind of physical representation of what we've been doing. So that's also key to keep in mind in the 1st year. We might not see the fruits of our collective labors right away. So we might have to, practice patience here. But Heated Rivalry came out in 2019. And then it took the whole of the cycle to become a television show. It came out in the 9 year, but it went through all these trials and tribulations of trying, how shows get made, how adaptations happen. And then here at the end of this 9 collective year, it caught fire and like broke containment, skyrocketed into the stratosphere. Like Tattoo is having a moment again. God bless. So I can wax poetic about why I think that this has happened. But what I want to highlight for the 1 year is 2 things. So, and especially for January too, which is a 2-month. So the first thing is that I want to highlight how the show stayed true to its source material and to its integrity, despite calls to change it. And how I really firmly believe that that was integral to its success. Like people would not be having this reaction if it had not stayed true to just being born with story, born with plot. We love it. And then B, the second thing is what doors might open now that this one has been blown wide open. And representation is very important in the world of the show. But I also think it's interesting to watch this moment happen when we have so many kind of regressive, or we've spent a year kind of taking a step back. I think to have this like really feral queer moment at the end of 2025 is amazing. But for 2026, I really like want us to stay in our integrity and like in our authentic selves, no matter what, and know that that's like integral to our success. And then also this idea of like, things don't catch fire right away, but they can. And so a lot of it is about timing and other people having to take steps forward. That's very like meta in if you've seen Heated Rivalry, but like other people have to be the ones to do it first, and then the doors are open and then we can follow. So this just feels ripe for metaphor. January 2026 is a 2-month. So January is ruled by the number 1, but then in 2026, we have this 10-1 year. So we're in an 11 2-month. And the first thing this tells me is that we're going to be able to access insight and perspective and magic. We can use like the 11 energy, but also that things might feel a bit tender. So practical advice for the month of January is to stay really connected to the people and the practices that keep you afloat. Make the favorite self decision when you can. We've talked about that before. And then really ask yourself, what is it that you love and want to focus on this year? Because 1 energy asks us to get specific, and then 2 energy brings in that proverbial other. So we're thinking about what we personally want to devote ourselves to in 2026.
And that is very consistent with how the astrology kicks off early in the month, because the month starts in Capricorn season, but it's not just that it's Capricorn season. Like Mercury, Venus, and Mars are all also in Capricorn as of Jan 1. And especially with Mars being here, and Mars is exalted in Capricorn. And so the difference between a planet that like Mars is domiciled, like it's home in, it rules Aries and Scorpio, but it exalts in Capricorn. And the idea of exaltation, planetary exaltation, is this idea that like it's basically an efficiency of energy use. It's like Jupiter exalts in Cancer, like, which is also where he will be in January. He's been there for the last 6 months. There's this idea that there is such symbiosis between what the planet is about and how that sign works, that it's not just that it can do the best job, like using maximum effort, like Mars might do in Aries or Scorpio. It's that it can do the best job and access like all of its motivation and ambition and courage with relatively conservative efforts, small c conservative, not politically conservative. And that's just like that was just very top of mind while you were talking, Bee, around like, we're doing stuff like it is a 1, it's not rest energy anymore. And it's like all of those planets in Capricorn, like it's very much the energy of doing the work effectively, of having a plan and executing. Like it's not, taken off like a rocket ship. It's not like an immediate pivot, but it's very much the reward of the labor that has been put in. And then, we move into Aquarius season, and Venus and Mercury will also move into Aquarius come at the end of the month. Aquarius season itself starts on January 19th. And to me, the key link between Cap and Aquarius is that this is the only zodiacal transition where both signs are ruled by the same planet. Like almost every planet rules 2 signs, except for the sun and the moon, which each rule 1. But no other planets' home signs are consecutive. And that so speaks, though, to me, with Saturn being the planet of like slowness and methodical, like being methodical, of time, of maturation, of aging, of like the effort, the sustained effort that produces quality over quantity. Like this is just very much that energy to be in January. So, I mean, I'm also a Cap Sun. I love reflecting on like doing my year end reflections, my year ahead planning. I don't really do New Year's resolutions, but I do definitely make a lot of plans for the coming year. And so I think this is a great time to do that. But to what Bee said about you said something about perspective. And to me, that is a very Aquarian word, because if Capricorn is like climbing the mountain, kind of over and over, Aquarius is the bird's eye, like Google Earth view at the top of the mountain. And I think it's really important to pause and take that into account and really appreciate the perspective that you have now, as opposed to at the beginning of 2025, like the perspective that you've gained in your work, in your relationships, in your spiritual life, in your creative life. I think that's a really good anchor word for the month. lunation wise, because honestly, it's not that busy a month astrologically speaking. It's a lot of standard stuff. But we do, of course, have a full moon and a new moon. And the full moon comes at 13 degrees of Cancer on January 3rd at 5:02 a.m. Eastern. It is opposite both Venus and Mars in Capricorn. So this is great, like a Cancer lunation regardless, but especially like pulling in Venus and Mars. And Venus in Capricorn is so deeply linked to like passing down tradition and like the art of one's lineage or heritage. So there's a lot here around connecting with loved ones, doing family history or genealogy work, like watching your childhood favorites, indulging in art or food that feel nostalgic. Very lovely things to do on the full moon in Cancer. Or, you know, take Bee's workshop and also work on cultivating that perspective for your year ahead. And then later in the month, we have a super active new moon at 28 degrees of Capricorn on January 18th. This comes at 2:51 p.m. Eastern. And this new moon is conjunct Mercury, Venus, and Mars, all in Capricorn. And it's also sextiling both Saturn and Neptune right before those planets go back into Aries, because they're still in Pisces for most of January. And this is the first new moon of the year, so it's also the Chinese New Year and other calendars that are marked by the first lunation of the year, the first, or rather, I should say, the initiation of the first lunar cycle of the year properly. And I will be totally honest, again, even though I have a lot of like year-end solstice traditions, this new moon is actually what feels like the start of the calendar year to me. It's got very action-oriented, very breakthrough energy, but again, in that very mindful Mars and Cap way. Like, we're not taking off like a bullet, or like a rocket or whatever the fuck ship. Like, we're moving intentionally. And it's just like very much geared to making and beginning things that will last. So I am very hype for this new moon, honestly. And then the big news of the month astrologically is that Neptune goes back into Aries for good on January 26th. We got a sneak peek of this in 2025, but now Neptune is moving back into Aries for good. I talk a fair bit about what we can expect during Neptune and Aries during my astrohistorical lecture. We've been here before, which I think I need to rename because I'm basically talking about the astrology of 2025 and 2026 because of the outer planets like Saturn and Neptune and Aries and Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius. I probably should rename the lecture because it's just as applicable to 2026 as it was to 2025. But this is to say Neptune going into Aries probably isn't going to be felt except that heavily on an individual, like micro level, except by folks for whom that initial 0-degree ingress into a cardinal sign, like if you have planets or points, personal planets or points like at around 0 or 1 degree of Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn as well, then you will probably feel this one. If you don't feel it right away, it's all good. The outers can take a while to make their themes known in a life. But I will, as we go through our cauldrons later, I will be flagging what that Neptune transit is going to be lighting up for folks, respectively, with those topics. So that's the astrology of January 2026.
Love to see it. I think some of the themes that y'all have both talked about are pretty loud in our cards for this month, actually. I always start with a theme card that's just kind of a general vibe, something to think about, some general kind of advice or support, or just something to work with and be aware of. And our theme card for January 2026 is the Six of Swords. So talking about perspective and also talking about like breakthroughs, I feel like we see a lot of that with this particular card. When I think about the Six of Swords, I'm usually thinking about moving through something, moving past something, moving beyond something, right? This is this card that kind of finds us on the other side in the immediate aftermath, so to speak, of the other side of a challenging experience. And there can be this kind of found clarity or renewed sense of direction with the Six of Swords, this kind of sense of having figured something out or thought through something, or being willing to kind of move beyond an assumption or a more limited perspective or viewpoint, and doing that hard work of changing our mind or being open to new information or allowing a perspective to expand. I think that the Six of Swords does have a little bit of grief in it often. There can be this sense of leaving something behind in a way that can be a little bit painful, especially if, you know, there was kind of an assumption that left us a little bit innocent, and we had to kind of gain knowledge that sort of, I don't know, pulled scales away from the eyes, or something that kind of forces us to reckon with something being harder or uglier or different than we thought. There can just be a bit of grief. You know, when you learn something that kind of changes the way you see something or see someone or approach a problem, there can be some kind of grief or activations or just kind of general sadness. So I don't think that always has to be part of this card, but it could be something that comes up for some folks. But what I want to really celebrate with this card is that there is this sense of pride, I think in sixes in the tarot in general, but especially with the Six of Swords. Sometimes it's about really having moved through something difficult and being on the other side of something with a sense of authenticity, of renewed purpose, of renewed clarity. So again, that breakthrough energy, that kind of reward energy as well, of having done a hard, scary thing or forced ourselves to really lean into authenticity in a major way. I think there can be a real sense of pride and joy and celebration and a little bit more ease on the other side of this complicated thing. So as a theme for January, this does feel like an opportunity to acknowledge how your personal opinions or viewpoints or ideas might have changed a little bit, how there might be a little bit more mental flexibility for you. And this could be over the last year, this could be over the last month, this could just be on some other kind of timeline of your own that's not neatly into the Gregorian calendar. But I want you to think about where you've been willing to change your mind, where you've been willing to listen to different perspectives or release assumptions or just see something through a new lens. How are you creating distance between past versions of self? Or how are you stepping more firmly into new kinds of futures? I also want you to pay attention to where you're curious this month, thinking about the process of discovering things, asking questions that maybe you've ever asked before, or maybe asking questions that you haven't asked in a long time and seeing how the answers start to look different. But thinking about the truths that you don't know yet and the magic of a beginner's mind, I think can be really useful this month. Our truth card, which is my way of challenging you to think about something a little bit differently, to look internally, to ask yourself some tricky questions. I actually pulled the King of Cups, which I sort of love for us all. The first thing that came to mind when I pulled this card is the kind of idea that you have a lot more emotional capacity than you might realize. I don't really typically think of the King of Cups as a figure who is in control of their emotions. I think sometimes that's how we talk about kings, is like this figure that's a complete authority over something. And I don't really like that in general anyway, but especially with the King of Cups, I don't think this is about someone who is able to control their emotions completely or who has their emotions really neatly boxed up in this really beautiful, weird, constrictive sort of way. I think of this instead as someone who is really comfortable with the ebbs and flows of emotion and wisdom and intuition and relationship, who models wisdom and community care by actually letting their emotions be visible. I'm thinking about heated rivalry, and I'm thinking about masculinity, and I'm also just thinking about this ongoing, ever-present phrase of not to be too emotional about things. You know, we have to be logical, we have to be, you know, cold, we have to be straightforward. If we're too emotional, then we're somehow doing something wrong, especially if we're making decisions or we're thinking about something critically. It's like these have to be two separate things. But honestly, what's wrong with being emotional? What's wrong with being connected and acknowledging those connections? What's wrong with caring deeply about something? I think the King of Cups really models for us what it means to lead with heart, to hold space for messiness, to hold space for answers that are not easy or simple, and also building intimacy through sharing rather than just performing. I tend to see kings as 5 cards, which is going to be relevant later because we have a number of 5 cards in our cauldrons. But these are figures that, oh, it's fine. I'm actually pretty excited about it. Okay. But I see kings as 5 cards, like figures who can help us break through or break open something, kind of challenging status quos or tearing down broken traditions or rebuilding something from the ground up in a way that's a lot more authentic and useful. So what would it look like this month to challenge your ways of navigating emotions, relationships, or sensitivity? Pay attention to the things you care about this month and the ways that you let that care shape your choices and your relationships and your conversations and your movements. Think about how vulnerability deepens connections, and think about what it might feel like to let yourself be truly seen, not just performing a costume for something or wearing a mask. And of course, our dare card is where I push you a little bit to try something different, to consider a risk, or to just do something external that might challenge how you usually do things. And I pulled the 9 of Pentacles for our dare card, which doesn't feel like a super dairy kind of card to me, but does feel like a really lovely energy to move into January with. So I'll take it. I tend to think about the 9 of Pentacles as a card of being well resourced, especially at the kind of end of a journey or coming to the conclusion of a cycle, really owning how hard we have worked and how hard we have come. How far we have come. I wrote how hard we have come. You're going to have to edit this out, but I want you to know
Rivalry. How hard have we come?
How hard have we come?
That's
the question.
Listen, this is the important question. Add that to the blooper reel.
We should keep this in.
I agree.
Sure. Yeah. Meg trying to read things they wrote when they were tired and reading them when they're more tired.
Meg saying what they really wanted to say. Okay.
I said what I really wanted to say. I stand by it. How hard have you come? All right. But anyway. The 9 of Pentacles is really a card of owning how hard we have worked and how far we have come. And for a lot of people, I think there's an association with the 9 of Pentacles as like a small business card or a card about celebrating that we've become financially independent a particular way or hit a major milestone. And if that's you, I don't want to take that away from you. I think that that can be a really useful kind of connection point. But I also want to encourage you, since probably not everyone who listens to this is a small business owner, although if you are, hello, hi, we see you. I want to encourage you to just think more broadly about the journey that you have been on around resources, which can be money, but can also be about protecting your space, about creating boundaries, about honoring and respecting your time, about cherishing your relationships and your community as a resource. Resources can look a lot of different ways. And so I want you to think about the ways that you have leaned on other people or let yourself be leaned on, instead of just thinking of this as like an opportunity to praise yourself for pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. What would it look like to acknowledge the interconnectedness of all of us, to think about the ways that community has strengthened and bolstered you, and also the ways that you have given back to your own community? So this month, I dare you to be proud of how hard you've been working. I dare you, which feels very Capricorn, by the way, be proud of how hard you're working. I dare you to share what you have with people who can use it. I dare you to let yourself feel gratitude for your journey, for the mistakes and the failures, as well as the victories and successes. And I dare you to reject the myth of the self-made success and instead to celebrate the clients, peers, teachers, students, friends, family, and witnesses who have actually helped you every step of the way, simply by being present and available. That's what I got.
Yeah.
I mean, I am definitely to me, the 9 of Pentacles is like, oh, cool, I'm doing great, small business, all the things. Like, I don't know. There's something though to what you were saying, Meg, that made me think about, I don't know. I've like been thinking about money as a spirit lately, not like as a spirit necessarily. That's perhaps the wrong way to say it, but as something that is responsive to spirit. And it's like, okay, what does money like? And money likes moving. Money likes being circulated. And I don't know. I feel like that's part of the lesson of, you know, A Christmas Carol and Scrooge and like all of the anger at these billionaires just hoarding wealth. It's like, money is one resource of many, and it likes to move and be shared and be given. And yeah, I don't know. That's just like what came to mind as you were talking about that.
I love that. And I want you to know that I was drinking tea and like moving it while you said that. And as you finished that, like, I think money is a spirit, some of the tea literally splashed into my eye and it felt very like, yes, pay attention, this part. So just to share that with everyone, I have tea in my eye, but message received. Got it.
There are so many numerological alignments with what each of you have shared. So, Jeanna, the Capricorn is the 10th sign and Aquarius is the 11th sign.
Oh, wow.
And you literally were like, oh, the 10 qualities are very Cap. And then we will move into the perspective energies of Aquarius. And so not only are those our seasons for the month, but those are our numbers for the month as well, which I think is fascinating.
That's so cool.
I thought King of Cups was very great for 2 energy, that root 2 of like, yeah, emotional, like emotions are great. Sensitivity, being connected, intimacy, romance, like, yeah, we're hot for it. Yeah. I had a question for you, Jeanna.
Yeah.
All of the planets, so like the Venus Mercury, Mars, all of them are conjunct the sun in Capricorn. And then you said that they're moving with the sun kind of into Aquarius.
Yeah.
How often does that happen?
That's a great question. It happens with Mercury pretty frequently because of Mercury's orbit, it only can ever be 2 signs away from the sun at any given time.
Okay.
So like the sun in Capricorn, like anyone who like me is a Capricorn sun, we either have Mercury in Scorpio, Sag, Cap, Aquarius, or Pisces. Those are the only options. No one with a Capricorn sun has Mercury in Aries. None of us have Mercury in Libra. Like it's not possible. So because Mercury tracks with the sun so regularly, so consistently, I will say that Mercury being there is pretty common. Venus also, all of them being piled up in conjunct, that's very uncommon.
Okay, that's more what I was...
Particularly with Mars, because Mars has a 28-month cycle, I want to say. Like it's just over 2 years. So that isn't necessarily going to happen a lot with Mars also being involved. But yeah, in part just because it's like, and actually it's also fun because then the third, they'll be piled up in that last decan of Capricorn, which is the decan of the sun. So it's also just like even more like new year, new us, new solar energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not the most technical astrologer, but I know enough.
No, that totally answered my question. Thank you. Because when you were saying it, I was like, oh, that's a lot of energy in the sign we're in. Like,
yeah.
Wow. And then
Jupiter being in Cancer, like opposite all of that. Yeah. Like Jupiter. So it's also like Jupiter is also very involved in that story because it's in the opposing like sign, the opposing pair. So,
yeah. My last one was the new moon that you said was the new year. That felt like the new year on January. Yeah. This is cool. Okay, January 18th. So 118 is 10. So there's the year, but then if you add it to the year, you get 20, which reduces to 2. So there's the month. So I felt like that was also a numerological. All of these to me are like, oh, ding, ding, ding. We're in the right place at the right time. Like,
yeah.
Which I feel like we need that right now. Yeah. Like we need to know we're okay and that like things are coming together.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does feel like that new moon is really kind of the start of the new year.
Yeah.
And the numbers align both with the yearly cycle and the monthly number.
Yeah. It also feels connected to that thing that you said so beautifully, Meg. I forget which card it was about, but I wrote down the magic of a beginner's mind. Being willing to be bad at something, being willing to be new at something, even if it's like something that you've done already. I don't know. I thought a lot about the novel that has basically been shelved the entire month of December because I've just been too fucking swamped with like things I need to do and make to make money to work on it. But I don't know. I feel like I'm learning so much, even though I've been writing fiction since I was a kid, even though I wrote a lot of like novels and fanfic in high school and college and my 20s. Like I've been away from it for so long that it feels like I'm a beginner again, but that's been very fun. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people get discouraged about like, oh, well, I used to be good at this, or, oh, I dropped off of like strength training or whatever years ago and now I have to pick it up again, but now I'm like not as good as I used to be. And it's like, no, that's okay. Like embrace the magic of that.
Beautiful. Should we cauldron?
Let's cauldron.
Let's cauldron.
Our very first cauldrons for 2026.
Yeah.
Starting off with money, our new spirit energy, who is here in the room with us, splashing Meg in the eye.
Literally.
So when I tune into this month's energy around finance, I just feel an internal shrug. Like that really just shrug. So that doesn't feel super helpful, but also it could just mean that we're not really making any big moves. We're still kind of wrapping up what happened last year. And that makes sense to me because January is a bridge month, financially speaking. Like it's Q1, so we're starting new things and technically everything counts in 2026. But it's also kind of Q5 of the previous year because people are still sending tax forms or receiving tax forms. You're starting to look at the last year in a more reflective, wrap up, finalize kind of way. And we are figuring out where to go next. So practical advice for January, do not beat yourself up for where you are financially in January, and build in any little treats you might need after doing hard things. And then because it's a wheel year, buy a lottery ticket. Whatever version of that feels fun to you, like just see what happens. I think that 2026 could have some financial luck vibes to it, but I don't want to. Yeah, I'm like fingers crossed, but knock on wood, throw salt on your shoulder, all the things.
The astrology is really consistent with that. Mercury, which as a planet has to do with a lot of things, but it includes commerce, local commerce, like finances, whatnot. Mercury will go through Capricorn and get into Aquarius this month. So we are taking our finances slow. We are planning for the long term. We are moving with intention. We aren't really taking big risks or rushing things. So I think that's very in line with the numbers. I do want to flag, though, that my fellow folks who have an Aquarius rising will have Neptune moving out of their financial sector for good on January 26th. Oh my God. Like, we have had Neptune in our house of money and personal income and finance since 2011. So hopefully we have figured some shit out. I know that I've had a lot of ups and downs, had to deal with a lot of the Neptunian, like, planning for the ideal or not doing the nitty gritty details I needed to and suffering because of that. Hopefully we've learned what we needed to learn here at the end of this transit. So this means that Pisces risings, Neptune is moving out of your first, which I also love for you, but it's moving into your second house of your financial life, your income streams, personal finance. And so Neptune can bring kind of a laissez-faire approach to money, can make us more prone to idealizing, romanticizing, acting as if. So just be mindful of that. Be on the lookout for that. My Pisces risings going into the new year.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think the tarot is actually pretty consistent with these vibes as well. I pulled the Five of Swords. And so I think that can look a few ways, right? That could look like stressful, kind of dealing with all the nitty gritty paperwork and sifting through all the receipts and having to email your accountant back for the 10th time. Like, I think it can look kind of strifey, but I think it can also just look like needing to really dig into the full situation financially. It could feel like things are a little bit murky, like you have to work a little bit harder to understand what's going on. But I think that there is an opportunity to really clarify things. It just has to be done, is the thing. I think avoidance is not going to be useful in this particular circumstance. I know that money can be uncomfortable, especially when we're like doing taxes for a whole year. Or again, as small business owners, we're always out here trying to navigate really complicated shit. And it can bring up big feelings or strong opinions or worries about doing things correctly, especially while the government is in shambles, etc. Yeah. But if you're able to take a calm, measured approach, if you're able to move with curiosity rather than stubbornness, and if you're able to ask for / accept help when you need it, you're going to get through this. We're all going to get through this, and it's fine. I think that the optimistic view of this is that there's a lot of potential for needed change here when it comes to money. You just have to actually get in there and do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I also, while you were talking, had the awareness of, like, earlier in 2025, I did all of this filing work and I didn't actually use the files for like another 6 months. But then at the end of the year, when I needed something and I had to go back to it, I was like, oh my God, whatever version of me did this, smooching her on the mouth. So I feel like that's kind of the vibe you were talking about, like, just do it. And that part sucks, but then eat a cookie and you'll thank yourself later.
Yeah, get yourself the little treat afterwards, because it's hard and it can suck and it can be uncomfortable and stressful, and also it will be worth it. Like, you will be grateful that you did it on the other side of it.
Yes. Okay, for home, I think those who are looking for a new housing situation might have really good luck this month, especially when it comes to connecting with the right people to usher in those new opportunities. So that could be as straightforward as meeting a real estate agent that you want to work with, either buying or selling, or a person who's renting out their home. This could also be like a house sitting opportunity in a foreign land that whisks you away to a new life. Like I see all kinds of possibilities. But if you are starting the new year off knowing that you need new housing, that's stressful. And I feel like this is going to give a little bit of a boon to that experience. This also has big brush the cobwebs out vibes for everyone. So do not sleep on any kind of New Year closet or pantry clean out. And then also whatever witchy tasks you enjoy, like opening windows, doing floor washes, redoing doorway wards, sigils, cinnamon out the door. I don't know, whatever you do to clean your space. That energy has like clean it to then connect with it in a little deeper way is like the energy of January.
Astrologically, first off, the Cancer full moon on January 3rd is just cozy, like big at home vibes, like bake with your loved ones, do a spiritual cleanse, cuddle with your pets. This is not a Saturday for going out. This is a Saturday for staying in and being really, really cozy, especially potent for Aries risings who are going to have this lunation in their house of home and family. A really great time to touch base with any changes you may have been making on that front about 6 months ago during the new moon. So that conversation might be coming back up for review. And in terms of Neptune impacting people's ideals, dreams for what family looks like, what home looks like, Sag risings, Neptune finally leaves your fourth house this month. So Neptune, if you are Bee and company, like Sagittarius risings, again, Neptune has been here since 2011. So what counts as home, what counts as family, these are probably things that have changed, shifted. Your ideals and dreams for what you want things to look like may look very different here on the end of this transit as opposed to, the early 2010s when it started. Capricorn risings, you have Neptune about to go into your fourth. So if you are looking, I think Neptune is a really beautiful planet to work with when you are wanting to invite a new dream in, like again, I talk a lot about how porous it is and how much it can bring up issues with boundaries and things like that. But like Neptune is also, because Neptune is romantic, like in that, not just like love romance way, but like Neptune is profoundly romantic in how it sees the world. Neptune's profoundly idealistic. If you've been dissatisfied with anything about your home, family relationships, this is a great time to like do some meditation, some dream work, really intentionally work with Neptune to invite that into your life.
I think, again, a lot of the themes here that y'all are touching on have come up in the cards because I pulled our third five. Five of Wands is what I got for home. And I think this could look a few different ways, right? I think it could look like kind of petty, silly conflicts with your housemates that nobody really wins, that aren't necessarily about anything, but also might be about something that does really actually need to get addressed. But it could also look like friction finally getting addressed after a long kind of build up in a way that might feel uncomfortable, but just like with our Five of Swords, is ultimately going to be really necessary and actually like clarifying and helpful. The other way this might look is like creative solutions to long-standing problems with your home. Either if you've been looking for new housing for a while, things might start to kind of break through. If you've been looking for new opportunities around the home, ways to, clean out the home or reorganize the home or whatever, it could be that some new cool solutions start to come up. So as I said with the Five of Swords, stay curious, walk away when you need to, try to listen to what's really being said rather than just focusing on all the things that are activating you. But there is a lot of potential here for necessary positive change if you can stick with it.
Cool. I'm going to talk about conflict for love, but first, 2 really is like the quintessential first date energy. And so the combo pack of 1 and 2 feels very like if you've been looking to get back out there, like do it. Maybe not on the full moon in Cancer, but another day that's more aligned. But it also feels like that buzzy feeling when you make a new friend or you discover a new thing that like takes over your whole being. And not going to talk about the hockey boys again, but 2 also brings up diplomacy and conflict. So especially in a 1 ruled month, be really aware in your relationships, whether it's platonic, romantic, professional, otherwise, be aware of where you are sticking way too much to your point of view and not actually listening, or where you might be attempting to speak on something that you're actually not clear on yet. So language comes in 3, but in 1 and 2, we have a lot of feelings. And so, but we don't actually know how to talk about it yet. So that's just, yes, we're pro listening in the month of January, because I could see this energy being really supportive for like starting new relationships, but also this could be like a bad miscommunication trope.
Hate it.
My least favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, my least favorite of the tropes. So I've got 2 days for you before we get into the Neptune influence. January 7th, we have the official Venus-Mars conjunction in Capricorn. This can look like a DTR, you know, this can look like being realistic about the future. It really requires, but that's the key thing, right? Like with being realistic and communicative about expectations and plans in relationships. First, you have to be realistic and communicative with yourself in order to actually be able to have those. So it's very like loving reality check energy is my hot take. And then on January 9th, if you're looking for more of a, you know, dreamy first date kind of day for that, you know, two of cups kind of energy, Venus will be opposite Jupiter in Cancer. And this can just look like a very sweet, very dopey, like being cozy at home, doing something nice with your most cherished friends, like having a sleepover with your girls or your boys or your hockey boys or whatever. Have your friends over
a drinking game.
Have your friends over for a heated rivalry marathon watch.
There you go.
That's what you do on January 9th.
So many brave souls on January 9th.
The last thing I will say though about love is Virgo risings. Neptune is leaving your 7th house of love, relationships, marriage, also like business partnership, all of that. So I love that for you. Thrilled for you. Libra risings, you're on deck. Neptune and Aries is moving into your 7th house. So I think the fact that Saturn is going to join Neptune in a month does help like make it a little more realistic. For the last 2 years or so, like Saturn has tracked with Neptune and will keep doing so for the next like 2 years. So it's a more realistic period initially, but just like don't marry someone in Vegas who you just met. I don't know. That's my practical advice. No elopements, no introducing someone to your family after 2 weeks, lesbians. Just keeping it chill. If Libra risings who are Venus ruled anyway are capable of doing that, I love you so much. But like, be chill.
You heard it here first.
Libra risings, be chill.
You're on deck for being chill. The card I pulled, speaking of realistically moving into new beginnings, is the Page of Pentacles, which I think is real cute, honestly. I think it's really easy to think about pages as new beginnings or fresh starts or trying something new. And that feels correct in the realm of love. And that could feel really prescient for a number of you. But I really love that this is a page or a story or a new beginning that is rooted in earth, right? This is a page who is interested in building something tangible, something substantial, something real, something that's going to take a little bit longer and require more patience and just more stability over time. But yeah, don't rush, trust your body, honor your roots, and let yourself savor whatever is building and enjoy those early moments and those early stages. As I've said in other cauldrons, the theme really is stay curious. There is room for growth, but not if you rush it.
Whoa. Okay, that actually really is a nice segue into health. I feel like this is the month to start making appointments. Like January, you know, insurance gets a refresh, and that's not always a good thing. But it's like we have this opportunity, and maybe you need to grab a buddy and make them together because it's scary to do those things alone. But really, the overall vibe of January is to do what you need to do in order to set yourself up for a healthful year. So again, we're not flaring and fizzling here. Just like Meg was saying, like this is for all in the name of sustainability. And go gently into your new year gym plans. We're not jumping right into things, but there is really great energy here for making changes, for starting new things. And kind of like I already brought up with the filing system, do things that future you will thank you for, even if it doesn't feel totally good in the moment.
That tracks with the astrology, honestly, because again, Mars in Capricorn is really helpful. And it's helpful for going at a sustainable pace and for conserving energy and like doing things really mindfully. However, Mars is making a lot of aspects to the outers throughout the month. It'll make sextiles to Saturn and Neptune when still in Pisces. Also Uranus and Taurus, which is retro. Yeah, also to Uranus and Taurus. It'll trine Uranus. So we're not overdoing it. The propensity isn't to overdo it, but you know, just as a heads up, we're coming prepared. We're eating enough protein. We're stretching before and after a workout, but we do have a plan. The only day I think to mark is like a definitely don't like overdo it, whatever that looks like to you, is January 10th. Mars will oppose Jupiter, which is very big Superman, I'm going to jump off this cliff and fly energy, except like we can't do that. So just like, you know, don't go base jumping. I don't know.
Noted.
Yeah, great.
That's the practical advice for everyone who was listening to this who was gonna go base jumping. Don't
your calendar. That's not the day.
Do it a different day. We don't want to
not January 10th.
Yeah.
Libra risings, I know I picked on you a little bit before, but the good news is that, I mean, Neptune's going into your 7th, but it's leaving your 6th. And Neptune in the 6th can really make it difficult to get a handle on our energy, on our work-life balance, on physical health problems. Like if you've had any difficulty with diagnosis, for example. I don't want to get too granular with that, but like Neptune in the 6th can be rocky in those ways. So hopefully things like work-life balance, you know, a workout routine, etc., are going to stabilize for you in the new year. Scorpio risings, Neptune is about to go into your 6th. So again, just being mindful, coming prepared, moving at the speed and pace that your body is comfortable moving at, not pushing it. That's my advice.
Great. No base jumping and
no base jumping, which I think frankly applies to everyone. Right.
Listen, we're not here to yuck anybody's yum. Just be safe about it. You know? Not on the 10th. Not on the 10th. Pacing is the name of the game. I pulled temperance for us for health. So this is our 4th and final 5 card.
Wow.
Just so many 5 cards is wild. But I think in general, January, especially around health, can end up feeling like this month of big declarations and dramatic resolutions. And this is the year I'm finally going to go base jumping or whatever. But I think temperance is here to remind you, as the others have said, new routines and shifting habits takes a long time. So be patient with yourself. Try not to get frustrated if you're not immediately benching 200 or whatever your goal is. Stay patient. Don't set impossibly lofty goals that are going to make you give up immediately, and just keep showing up to the things that you care about. Temperance has big potential change energy. So if you do the thing and you keep showing up, the change is going to happen. You just can't start so high that you don't have anywhere to go.
Yeah. I love that.
January 2026. Don't go base jumping. Do watch Heated Rivalry with your friends.
Do watch Heated Rivalry for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't say this at the beginning, but I'm acting as if I'm not the person that brought this up, but I should have said this before when I had things to announce for the new year. So in case you don't know, I run a monthly smut club. We meet once a month on Zoom, and we create or read or otherwise consume smutty content in creative community. It's donation based. We donate proceeds to sex workers in Los Angeles and other aligned causes. And in 2026, for the first 6 months, we are reading the Game Changers series. Mm-hmm. So we are starting with Game Changer in January, and then we're going through June. So if you are like, I only want to be around for Heated Rivalry, February is your month for Heated Rivalry. June is your month for the long game. But if you're interested in reading the books and you want to hang out, that's what Smut Club is doing in 2026.
Love that.
Okay, any last thoughts about January 2026?
I'm going to rewatch Heated Rivalry.
Beautiful.
That's my last thing we have to say about January 2026 is Heated Rivalry. You're doing great. We're all going to make it. It's fine. Yeah. It's fine. It's a new year. You get a fresh start, whatever that means for you. New moon is going to be awesome. And 5 energy. Let's go.
Yes, all those 5s. Hello.
I don't know why there were so many 5s. It was wild. I used moonlight, so I know it was, but change,
the wheel spinning.
Yeah.
All of the above.
Yeah.
All right, cute. Well, we'll be back this month with a conversation about something. And and it's a new year. So if you have any requests for this year at Call Your Coven, please let us know. I always forget to do this, but you can email us at callyourcoven@gmail.com. You can follow us at Call Your Coven on social media and YouTube. And you can get in our comments. You can join our Patreon.
We need to be better about shouting out the Patreon. I feel like we never do it, but we do have a supportive tier.
That we do, and we have beautiful supporters who we've been like breadcrumbing with, like, hey, we're gonna pay attention to you at some point. Truly. So maybe that will be our change in 2020.
I mean, that would be nice.
Okay, well, we're off to listen to Tattoo again. We will talk to you soon.
I'm very mentally stable over here.
Bye.